Burton. I work for the Division of Senior and Adult Services. And my question to you is, well, I have two questions. One, speaking of the least of these, or those who perhaps society throws away sometimes, we do a lot of work around senior issues and work on behalf of seniors and disabled adults. What advice or suggestions would you have for, one, engaging the senior community throughout Cuyahoga County, especially those seniors who still want to be, who are still contributing to society and to their neighborhoods? And also, what advice would you have for us younger generation folks to reach out to the senior population and also engage with them as well?
Thank you for that. I'm reminded of a tour I took a few years ago with a young woman named Brooke, who was running the really international but named intergenerational school up in the Fair Hill community. And I remember walking in there and seeing people who could have been our grandparents who were reading to these youngsters. Some of the folks who were reading were from the Jewish community, some of them were from the Shaker Heights community. They maybe had English or Anglo-Saxon backgrounds. Many of the students they were reading to were African American, but some were Appalachian and some were Puerto Rican. And I remember saying when I walked out of the school, the intergenerational school, which now has an Near West Intergenerational School component, how wonderful it was for those students, right? Because for a kid like me, whose parents got married when they were older, my dad was 58 when he married my mom, who was 38, I don't know what a grandparent is, but my dad could have been my grandpa. But I thought to myself how wonderful it is for these students to have another positive adult who is sharing with them learning and knowledge and love and reading to them. And Brooke pulled me aside and she said, don't think it's only a one-way street. And she told me about a study that came out of the Yamaha Foundation out of Tokyo that basically did a study of showing how seniors who are engaged with intergenerational students, so people who are a lot younger than them, actually, in many cases, forestalled the onset of dementia and Alzheimer's, in some cases by up to 2 years. And I thought to myself, we're always so focused on one group or another, right? It's either retention or attraction, right? It's either this or that. It's either the city or the suburbs. It's either immigrant or native. But our nation doesn't work that way. It's all of us or none of us. And I remember thinking to myself, I want to tell every senior I know about that because, of course, there's self-interest because you feel happy when you're around those young geniuses. But there's something about being engaged with those kids that also probably helps a lot of those seniors be independent and to be the people that they are as they get older even longer than nature and fate would have probably had. I'm always interested too because it seems like our elders in any community seem to have gotten over this immigration phobia better than any of us have. And it would be funny when I would talk to some of the seniors in the Slovenian community who just loved so much living on East 74th in St. Clair and East 61st in St. Clair and would have never wanted to move way out to the suburbs because what they felt was that that wasn't where life was actually happening. Their words, not mine. They wanted to encounter young African American men and women at Shaliga drugstore. They wanted to know that there was a church around the street that was Pentecostal, whose most of its attendees were Puerto Rican. I want us to get to that point without having to live the life to get there. So maybe you can teach me how to do that. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. And again, please join me in just giving him a warm round of applause for Joe. Very powerful and informative talk. Thanks again, Joe, for being such a great champion of the community.